Let's talk some toys in here.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Today it's the Man Child. All right, so today we're going to go over the new Masters Universe Masterverse Wave 8 Revelation Sorceress. Yeah, pretty cool to have a new Sorceress in hand. You know, she was a very iconic character, figure a lot of us grew up with today, going back to the vintage toy line or animation, later in the classics, and now in the Revelation cartoon. Very reminiscent of what we all know as the Sorceress looked like, going back to the original character. And yeah, it's cool to see one in the Revelation line. I like the way she came out from what I can see so far in the box. A little mixed on a cape. I was hoping for more feathers, something going back to the classics, but it's hard to tell. Once we get her out, we could check, get a better look at it. But otherwise, it's fun to have one in the line. Here she is. Here's a quick look at the art on the back of the box. Looking pretty cool. There's Sorceress, the arms spread out. Yeah, see, I like the way those the wings are with the feathers. I was hoping the cape would be like that. But anyway, it's kind of the art. And dropping down here, these are all 4 figures in this Wave 8. Of course, Sorceress, Man-Face, and Shadow Weaver. I have all 3 of these. Pighead I haven't found yet. Of all figures, I want him the most, so hopefully I can get a hold of him soon. But it's those 4. And here's a closer look at her bio. You want to pause and read that. And there's a little more art of the Sorceress with the arms and the wings folded in now, holding the staff on the right-hand side of the box. You want to check that out. And here's a quick look around with the Sorceress and accessories out of package. So, taking a closer look at the Sorcerer's head and head sculpt, or the bird headdress here, yeah, really well done. I mean, you see the way the eyes are painted there, or just the face, the sculpting. I love the way this bird dress is done, the beak, the little eyes there. It's got, I don't see anything with like feathers sculpted in. It's just kind of all a solid piece. Of course, all white, and then you have the orange outer piece here, part of the mask. As far as the articulation now with the head, so we can go spin left to right, and we can go down and back about that far. It's hindered by this, like, these feathers in the back. Now this headdress is glued on. It's all, or I don't want to say it's part of the sculpt. Looks like there is a sculpt with a head underneath, but you can see it's like glued on, so he peeled it off. I don't think she has hair or nothing. It's probably just a bald head or something. Curious about that. But yeah, really well done as far as the head for this Revelation Sorceress. Here's a little closer look at just extra details. You want to check out the eyes, painting, the face, feathers and whatnot. So moving down to her shoulders and arms, so we got this shoulder feather piece here. Now, I like that, how the feathers are all sculpted in. I kind of wish the headdress was more like that, where it's just like solid, long, white tail kind of looking things. Now, this is removable. We'll get to that soon. As far as the arms, so we'll just go with the right arm. Now, everything's done in blue, like Sorceress known for. Even so, with this collar piece, so she can go, as far as the arm articulation, she can go up, down, and go forward, back. Does have a bicep swivel. Can bend all the way at the elbow like that, real close to her face. She comes with 2 semi-closed gripping hands and 2 additional hands, which I'll show soon. And they're on hinge joints, so we know we can spin and go in and out. And the left arm's all the same as far as the articulation. So in the chest area here, she does have a cut and yab, you can see. So that's kind of where she spins, and she can also go forward and back. And then underneath this dress piece here, the legs also do articulate. It's like in the hips, so they can also spin under the dress, like this. Then moving down more, of course, the cuts in the dress. She has some feathers sculpted on the outside. Similar to the classics or the vintage. They don't do the whole thing. It's just up in this front area. It's pretty cool. So you can see where it's split. This is soft and flexible. Allows her legs to articulate out, which we'll do in a minute. And then spin around in the back. Comes all the way down like this. And that's flexible. You can roll it back like so. We'll get into the cape in a minute, but as far as the leg articulation with this dress or the split, so let's see, she can go out about that far as like a split. The leg let's do the left leg, go all the way forward. She can go back about that far, has the thigh split, can roll like that. She can bend all the way, now my knee's stuck here, okay, but there we go. Bend all the way up the knee like this. She has a cool Sorcerer's boots on, right? Feathers all sculpted in. Again, I love how the detail of the feathers are sculpted on the boots, like it is up the top shoulder piece. And then she can spin at the boot, and then, of course, the foot, go down, up, rock side to side. And the right leg's all the same, forward, back. Bend all the way up at the knee like this. So you go under the dress, or you can move the dress out of the way if you wanted to. And boot spins, the foot, the whole deal. So moving on, spinning the Sorceress around, looking at the back side of her. And, of course, the most important part is her cape. So we already went over the headdress here. Feather piece, and we know that's flexible, can articulate with the head. We know she has this collar piece. Awesome sculpting in there, and that also is soft on the shoulders and come off. We'll get into that in a second. But this is pretty much her wings, or what they gave her as a cape. It's just cape material. So you have the orange outer piece, and that's, you can see how that separates and moves its own piece, cut like feathers there. And then the lower, the blue part of the cape has these little straps. They go on the arms. I'll show you that in a second. But the overall design is just cape material. It's not feathers at all. I'm really surprised at that. That kind of, to me, is really important for the sorceress, at least if you go back to the art and what we're used to, So getting the cape to work, we got these two straps, and obviously they're going to slide up over the arms. And I'm going to take the hands off, right? So we're not familiar, that's the pegs. We'll put the other hands on a little bit, the spellcasting hands, but it looks easier if you take the hands off, and we'll slide one strap up at a time and then do the lower part. So you can see on the right arm how I got this, these flexible straps up there. I'll move one up to her bicep and the other one up around, I guess, the forearm, something like that. And the same thing with the left side. So I just bent the arm back, slide this one on like so, and then grab the lower end, put this one on. So with the hands still off, I got, both straps on the left and right arms, and you got to kind of adjust them. You kind of see, fiddle with them till you get this kind of how you want it. You don't want no gaps, or try to straighten this out the best you can. You got to mess around with it. It's sort of what it looks like. And real quick, these are the semi-open hands. They're not weapon gripping hands. They look like spell casting hands or something. So we'll put those on. So we'll snap the right side in, and then the left one. All right, so I'm still working on the wings. I got, obviously, the two spell casting hands on. They are articulating on hinge joints, if you're not familiar with both of them. But you got to mess around with these straps to get this, like, kink out of here to make the wings or cape look natural. So it's kind of, you got to kind of roll them back. And I'm trying to get the arm spread out to look like that art. So bringing in the box art for a second. Now, of course, you can see just the beautiful feathers and wings. And I'm trying to manipulate the articulation with this shoulder piece, how far arms will go out, which they will go all the way out, even with this piece on. But just the design with the straps, it, puts the wing sort of in a kink. You gotta, as I said, mess around with it. It does not look natural at all. But that's the best I can really get my sorceress for now. And here's what she looks like on the back side with the arms spread out. This orange piece, everything ravels up. You want to check that out. And with these straps set up for the wings, here's what she looks like with the arms in the down position. Okay, you want to take a look at that. That's what it looks like. All right, so we set up the wings and the bands and how they work and spread out. You got, maybe it varies figure to figure how, the look is going to be with this cape, but just the way they sewed it in, you really can't get it natural. Maybe at some angles, something like that maybe. So let's check out, let's take the head off first. So I'm going to pop the head off, okay? Just break her down a little bit. Here's that collar piece. So that slides off like so, and then we got to take these straps back off over the arms to take a look at this. So before we go over the cape, I put the head back on, the two closed weapon gripping hands, and you can take a look at the sorceress without the cape on, or the articulation a lot if you're curious. All right, so moving on to the cape. So we already know about the shoulder feather piece, right? I already said the sculpting's cool, has a little gold jewel in there, a medallion kind of thing. It's all part of it. Now you can see how the cape is attached to this, right? So we have our cape. Let's take a better look at that. It's the inside blue, right? We know the orange piece. They look like two different pieces that are clipped in by this locking peg setup. Now you notice too that there's no orange on the inside. Going back to that art, I'll just bring in the art in a second. And I thought maybe you can pull this thing off, okay, and reverse the cape if you want to, bring the orange on the inside, but then there's no orange on the outside, which usually the sorceress has it on both sides. But when you pull this peg back, it's actually it started breaking. I thought it just, like it unlocked, but it's just very soft, and it's almost like it's pressed in and not meant to come apart without modifying it. It's the only way I can see taking this off somehow, and of course, like I said, taking the whole cape off this shoulder piece. So it is possible, but mine is not coming off. It's not like a snap lock. It's like pressed in, and when I pull it, I see white in that rubber piece in here, and it's ready to snap. So I'm not going to mess with it, but I just kind of want to bring it in and show everybody. And one more time, bringing in that art. So yeah, of course, we have all sculpted feathers, orange on the inside. I can't see the back side. I think it should be orange too, but this is kind of what you get with the cape off, And you can't even spin this around without modifying this on the pegs. So moving on, as far as their other accessories, she does come with her typical bird staff here. You can see it's all done in it's a glossy white. Pretty cool detail. You want to check that out. And here's a quick look with the staff in the sorcerer's hands, or both weapon gripping hands, see what it looks like. Or you could put the staff in one hand. I just put the spell casting hand on the other. Just position or something like that if you wanted to. So bringing a little comparisons. And here's my classic Sorceress still in card. I mean, what a gorgeous figure. And she come with Zor, had the armored on. I love the way the feathers are done on this one. And so she has the wings. She also comes with the staff. But I want to show you something. So if you bring this figure in, she had these weird drums in the back. You could see that stick off the shoulders, and that's how to articulate it. When, looking forward, it wasn't bad, but when you turn her aside, that was a really bad setup. A lot of people didn't like. So for a little better comparison, I do have a loose Classics Dark Temple Sorceress, which is basically the same Sorceress as the one in card here, but more with the comic book, and she's all in white. So I just want to bring her in and show you something, the way I modified her wings. So here's a better side-by-side comparison of two different sorceresses. Now, going back to the classics, I bought her loose on eBay, and the ball peg was snapped in the head, so I fixed it. So her head don't really articulate. It's more of a statue. But the reason why I got this figure is because after seeing the reviews on the classic sorceress, like the one I have in card, I didn't like that drum setup. It's fine in card, but, to have her out, it looked really goofy. So what I did, now check out these wings. Even though they're clear, like gorgeous, the sculpting, the layers. I mean, a lot better than this cape. Never mind the one in card with all the Filmation colors. But what I did with this one is I cut the drums off the arms. I had to cut the wings. You could see how I glued it and sculpted it. Just made one, long wing spread out, which I think looks really cool. Now, of course, they're not attached to the arms. They had pegs with the other sorceress, and they were attached to the arms. That's how you articulate a drum. So this one doesn't do that. You're just in a fixed, set position. And here's a little better look at our two different sorceresses together. With, of course, now I have her cape, or supposedly wing spread out with the arms out. And the classics, what I have prefixed, of course. But you want to check those two out together. Here's a look from the back. And for one last comparison, so of course we have our new Revelation Sorceress. And this is the Super 7 Club Grayskull Filmation-inspired Sorceress, which is supposed to be a toy form of the Sorceress, directly out of a Filmation 80s cartoon. I think she came out pretty cool. A lot of people didn't like her. Something with the face, something with this and that. I don't know what it was. Fine to me, but... So you can obviously see where the inspiration came from with the Sorceress and the different aesthetics and size. But I wanted to show you how they went about the wings with this particular Sorceress. So here's what you got with that Club Grayskull Sorceress. This was Super 7's answer to giving you a closed position set of wings and an open position. So going back to the classics, it had drums and there was 3 sets of wings that would articulate. Now, my one out of card, you see that I cut the drum. It doesn't do that. I just glued it in a fixed position. It was either up or down. That was I guess, the best way the classics went about it at the time. So our new Sorceress, of course, now it's just a piece of cloth. I sort of get why they did that. It's a cheap solution with a couple straps and the arms that go down, up, and not a problem. But again, now you're not getting sculpted feathers. You're not getting layers. I don't like that the orange is missing. There's a lot of, I don't know, weird things with this I'm not happy with at this point. But getting back to the Club Grayskull, this was their answer to giving you 2 sets of wings, right? So now hers too, it's orange on the inside instead of blue. Going back to that cartoon where this one's blue. And if you flip it around, there's a different layers, the orange and the blue on the underside. So what you would do with her is just take the head, you pop the head off. And if you wanted to close one, you could see the peg holes in the back. So you would push this on like that. And there's 2 peg holes in the arm. So I already put one in. I'll push this one like that. So here's a look with the head back on. Her Sorceress set up with the closed wing and the arms down if you want to use it. Now the pegs fall out. It's kind of messy, but it would look like. And here's a quick look at the Filmation Sorceress with the feathers spread out on the arms now. Same thing. The pegs don't fit in the holes right. I mean, Super 7... they make some cool stuff, but it's one QC issue after another with their stuff. And here's a quick look at the back, what it looks like spread out. Pretty cool. Now, the feathers, they are sculpted, and they're not as defined as the classics, because this is going back to the Filmation style, but you want to check out what that looks like. And real quick, just for fun, so I took her wing and the neck collar off, but I'm curious, like, now, obviously, there's no holes in her. If you had a wing like this, and you wanted to modify her, just curious what it looks like. All right, we'll put this under the neck. Now, you would need a hole to recess this in more, but if we're looking at her from the front, what would she look like with, a sculpted feather on? Right? Kind of visualize something like that. That looks gorgeous. See, I wish we would have came with something like this. Really cool. And same thing, you'd have a closed wing, all right? And we'd go on something like this and line the peg holes up in the arms if she had them, or clips or something. Something like that. So overall, it is a beautiful figure. I love the way the head sculpt's done, the shoulder piece, the staff, the dress, overall look. But I'm not feeling this cape or wing setup at all, to be honest. I expected a little more with that, especially with the Sorceress. Just something with feathers, something closer to that art. It's not close to that art at all. I get why they went with this route. It's just cheap and easy, some cape material, put some straps on, allows the wings just to articulate, you know, like the Sorceress is supposed to do, going back to the classics or that Club Grayskull, but without the complexity of drums or peg holes or different wing, you know, plastic wing setups they have to give you. But to me, that's a Sorceress, and yeah, it's not working for me. I might modify mine. I don't know. It's surprised at that. But if you can overlook that, you don't mind the setup and the cape, and it works for you, you know, then yeah, go for it when she comes out and you can find her on the pegs or in retail or online. But yeah, it's not what I wanted in Sorceress. Aside that, I do like everything else, and I might modify, as I said, down the road, and I am glad to have her. So hopefully they answer your questions. I appreciate everybody watching. And until next time, take care.